Did the Baltimore Ravens select the right player last night in the first round with pick 30? Is Nate Wiggins the right choice, or would you have preferred a different selection? We discuss next on the GM. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. Up next on the GM, assessing the Nate Wiggins pick. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's talk about it. So as we know by now, the Baltimore Ravens selected Nate Wiggins, cornerback out of Clemson last night, round one, with pick 30. Do you like, love, or hate it? Do me a quick favor, drop that into the comment section. Like, love, or hate. Is there another player that you would have rather them had taken? As for me, I don't mind the Nate Wiggins pick. I just thought it was too early. That would be my only beef or slight towards that Nate Wiggins pick. I think he's going to be good for the Baltimore Ravens. He's quick, fast, good cover guy, can play inside and out. And I think that he will really push the guys ahead of him, both Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens. And being a first round pick, he will have to be on the field in his first season. And so I think that if the Baltimore Ravens were in love with Nate Wiggins, I think they could have gotten him in the top or at the top of the second round, which is what I believe they should have done. By the time that they were on the clock, you had already seen what the Buffalo Bills were thinking. They traded back to pick 32. You had already seen the Chiefs trade up to take Xavier Worthy. I think it was the Cowboys who picked at 29. They had already taken Tyler Guyton off the board. So all of your first round tackles were basically gone, other than Kingsley. I think he was still available. And so when you look at who was available to the Baltimore Ravens, especially if they wanted a cornerback, and I guess more specifically Nate Wiggins, McKinstry, and DeJean were all available. And if you look at wide receivers, um, Ladd, Leggett, and also Keon Coleman were available at that time. Oh, and A.D. Mitchell would have been available at that time. So there were 7 prime optimal choices for the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that when you look at who was behind the Ravens, you had Buffalo, and you got to believe that they're going to take probably A.D. Mitchell or Keon Coleman with pick 33 tonight. They were sitting there at 32. The San Francisco 49ers, obviously, they preferred Ricky Pearsall over all the other guys, wide receivers that I mentioned. How do we know? Because although he was ranked lower, they selected him over all those other guys who were available. So it was clear that they wanted him. And so then it was just left to be the Ravens, right? Could somebody have come up to pick 30 and taken Nate Wiggins? Yes. But when you look at pick 33, pick 34, pick 35, and pick 36, which one of them need a cornerback over some of the other positions of value that were available? So I thought that the Baltimore Ravens took Nate Wiggins too early. Not that he's not a first round talent. In fact, I never mocked him to the Baltimore Ravens because I did not think he would be available. When I did the one mock, the 7 round mock draft, I mocked Kool-Aid McKinstry because Nate Wiggins was projected to go much earlier. And so I understand he fell to them, right? But when you look at who was directly behind the Baltimore Ravens at 31 and 32, they were not taking cornerbacks. When you look at Carolina, Carolina was not going to take a cornerback over um, a wide receiver. In fact, we understood who they had their eye on. Xavier Leggett had already come out and said that the Carolina Panthers told him that if he was on the board when they were ready to pick, that he was their guy, and they were a franchise of their word. That's who they actually picked. So you can absolutely see Nate Wiggins being available at the top of the second round, giving the Baltimore Ravens an opportunity to pick up some more draft capital. Why do I believe they needed more draft capital if they were going to take a cornerback with their first pick? Well, here's why. When you don't get an opportunity to draft one of those top offensive linemen with a guard or tackle, you are now left with the second tier. Okay. And when you look at guards, the second tier begins with Christian Haynes and also Cooper Beebe, both guys who have a nasty streak, guys who play with power. Uh, I think Jackson Powers may be available as well. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the best available players, but if not, you still got Haynes and BB. When you look at offensive tackles, you probably have to go down to a guy like a Patrick Paul. Behind him, you're probably looking at Rosengarten, a guy who I've marked a couple of different times. And then behind Rosengarten, you're looking at probably Amagaji. And then behind him, you're probably looking at a guy like a Blake Fisher. And so I think you need a couple of picks, meaning extra pick or two today in order to get those guys because you're not drafting to the bottom of the second round at pick 62. And all the teams who did not get a first round tackle or guard are going to be looking at a first round tackle or guard today. I know Zach Frazier is still on the board, so somebody will absolutely take him. But the chances that we are in line for one of those uh, upper echelon talents is going to get slim by pick 62. And so I thought taking the extra draft capital trading back from pick 30 would have given us an opportunity to select a couple of those guys today and be able to, create depth and competition. So who should we target today since we went cornerback in the first round? I think the guys I named should be targets today, no matter where they're ranked. I think we have to take an opportunity to get at least two of those guys in house. Uh, I guess my preference would be Rosengarten. I think Patrick Paul will be off the board by pick 62. Behind him is Amagaji. And you just have to assess who you think has more upside. Rosengarten is probably more of a plug and play. He can start probably immediately. He has some position diversity. And then Amagaji is more of a developmental piece, although he has all of the athletic skills and tools and talents to be a second year full-time starter. But he could, with his talent base, could come in and compete right away. I think those have to be the kind of people that we're targeting in round two. I think if Cooper Beebe or Christian Haynes falls, both of those guys are guards. If they fall to around 62, I think taking them as an option will create an instant starter at right guard. And so I think that's what we're looking at today. I don't think the Baltimore Ravens will address a wide receiver until maybe the fourth round and probably a running back in the fourth round. But depending upon what happens today. In fact, if I can be all the way honest, depending on who's available when we get on the board at pick 62, I would even say the Baltimore Ravens should trade back and see if they could pick up an extra third and maybe a fourth by trading back out of the second round. Again, depending upon who's on the board, because it's a deep offensive line class, but there's tiers to this. And all the first tier guys are gone. So now you're into the second tier, and it won't be that long before you enter the third tier. Still talented, but not ready to go in and start. And of course, we do have guys at tackle who are going to start already, probably Daniel Falele if he works out, and then of course Ronnie Stanley. But you need guys who can compete now for those backup positions. So that's what I think, and that's what I think the Baltimore Ravens should be targeting. Again, Roger Rosengarten, Cooper Beebe, Christian Haynes, Kyron Amagaji, and then late in the third, probably somebody like a Blake Fisher. I'm your guy Boulanger. Let me know what you want me to know. I'm out.